So now we are going to start the last round. It's Learning Workshops, that's the title, and we've gathered 4 different experiences so that we can learn about BIM technologies. BIM technologies, on that topic we are going to have, on the first place, a presentation by Isidro Navarro on AR subjects. Afterwards, we'll have Iria Carrera. What do we understand technology and how to establish collaborative groups? Then we have BIM engineering and a last presentation of how integrated systems can generate much more smarter systems. I think in this presentation it's quite hands-on, and we'll have the chance to test the Google Glasses and see how AR and this kind of technologies can be implemented in BIM processes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Isidro. I'm a teacher from the University of Ramon Llull here in Barcelona, also from the Polytechnic University of Catalonia. I'm developing projects about BIM, of course, and also new technologies applied for enhancing learning for students. So, I will explain quickly most about the practice we do, a first introduction of technology, and after some ideas or some targets about how to implement technology in BIM. Well, this is few topics of the background. I'm organizer of a meetup who is leading with other meetups around the world about new technologies here in Barcelona. You are all invited to come. Every 3 months we meet for this kind of events to talk about what is going on technology. Okay, that's the question. What's next? Maybe we are expecting something. We are enjoying new formats, visualization. We are looking for something new, something that makes us feeling new experiences. That's the reason why we are watching the world in a different way. In this case, we have technology for that. Why all this new technology is not possible to it's possible to implement into this field in building, not only in learning. We can mix all. We want more experiences. So this kind of experiences can be watched through this kind of classes. This is more about how these new technologies could be implemented in the real architectural and building field. It's not an utopia. We are looking for new ways, and for example, big companies like Microsoft are leading this kind of technology, offering proposals for inspect, control, holographics could be one of the ways to check new tools, to check how we are mixing these two worlds. This video was made to inspire some idea, but this is real, of course. We show this to the students on the university, and we make them create projects and present them using this technology. We are doing like previous speaker does also on universities. We can collaborate together using this technology in the distance. This is one of the engaging ways to use this technology. We can speak with a specialist, with the operator in the same moment, in real time, and finding solutions for the building that are catching this information from servers around the world, and we can work in this way. So we know we got few tools. This is not the first step. Some tools like Autodesk offers to us. Companies like this are exploring possibilities, Clever also, new ways to show these products. We are also creating models, interactive models that can be shown through these low-cost glasses, for example. We use this in class with the students. They present these projects watching through in 3D. Projects made with BIM. We try to mix these two worlds in one. But this technology, we need a small explanations on what's happening, why we are focusing in this technology, because the market is on that direction. It's expected that in 2016, the increasement of the sales in this technology will be real. Of course, big companies like Facebook, Google, all of them are investing in this kind of technologies. You know all about the Google Glass, this device. You can stay in touch with streaming video. You can go to the office. You can stay speaking and showing what's happening in the building process in real time and asking, interacting with the techniques, with the operators, and telling what is wrong, what is well done. So you can experience this. Well, some more ideas about what are the devices going on. These all are head-mounted displays, are in the market. You can buy them. So this is one of the examples. But they are more focused on virtual reality. This kind of devices, like Samsung Gear, is leading this. So we explore in class with the students. We can interact with a model, just watching around and clicking for some menu and watching the building inside. And we know that these devices are connected to servers, and we can mix these two worlds in one. Some examples in real projects. Augmentsys has developed a platform that connects directly several protocols. They have a solution about the security data that can be mixed. It's really complex, of course. And you can interact with the database directly from the place where you need to check something. So this database could be, in the architectural field, our BIM models, of course. For example, in the maintenance, operators in maintenance, facility management, needs more about these technologies to improve the results and make them more efficient. You can call in real time with the operator and the specialists, and you can take some support in real time using head-mounted displays that catch, using image recognition, some of the tools that you are managing. So in this case, we can use this kind of software, this kind of hardware, sorry, but we need augmented reality. Augmented reality is used with this kind of devices, about see-through glasses. It's different than Samsung, for example. This one needs a phone to show the content, but this kind of devices could make these results. You can mix in two projectors a 3D model in front of you, and you can touch and you can manage watching the real world, mixing with your project. Well, I need to go forward. Imagine the helmet for operators in building of the future. This could be the future helmet in building. Well, I have not one here, but this helmet exists. It's real. The helmet from Dakri has been developed, and probably we will see it in Barcelona next week on the Mobile Congress. And this is one of the tools we can use to test. Also, I need to go forward because I have a few minutes. Well, integration in BIM, exactly in BIM, because this example was on industry. In BIM, we can place with augmented reality the building exactly in the map. So this is what we can do. And also we can check if the orientation or the building concept is okay or not. Just watching the object, the building in this case, in the real world, using this kind of software. Or the construction process. We can check with the timing of elements that could be organized with this software. You can see in the real world, in green, in red, if they are on, off, in the time. I want to show you some video because this. So here we can see with the see-through glasses what's going on, what is wrong, what you need to do, what not, and is exactly located in the right place. You can select the date, you can select the month, and you will see what will be the building on that date. Okay. Next. Some other ideas are about new hues into the machines, into the trucks, into all your tools you need in the building time. You can see through the glass of the truck what you need to do. You don't need to wear glasses. You can see through the same truck. Or maybe for the maintenance. You can see on the same place and using image recognition what you need to do. Or where is wrong and where you need to check something. Some of these processes we need using image recognition. It's another kind of technology. We use this also in class to create the illusion that buildings are made by students in the same school. So we place buildings in a virtual exhibition inside the school with image recognition of the hall, for example. Maintenance, again, watching occluded objects or objects from the system that will be there. Okay, some more ideas. Augmented reality is here to stay, but we need to know the possibilities, of course. Okay, a little fast view of technology. Glasses, of course. 360 cameras. You can see, for example, we can take a mega selfie right now. If I take a photo, this case, okay, you will see on Twitter using the hashtag BIM Summit. Okay. Beacons. We need to know where we are, so we need beacons. We need this. So I could be localized exactly where I am. And I can receive notices about what I need to do on my tools, my computers, or maybe on my devices. Of course, glasses. This is the same as HoloLens. It's in the market. or maybe interaction. We can interact with models in virtual world. Well, I will install a demo after on the whole. We can test it. Well, our research. You can play the video for us. Okay, we use beacons. These are projects on research with students in real-world buildings on heritage, on cultural heritage. This is the Casa Batlló, and we use beacons to localize the user, the visitor, to get more immersive experiences and tells you where you should be if you want to follow watching that image. This was the final project of a student of the university. This is another project made by another student. It's about accessibility for people with disabilities in visiting buildings. You can localize people and you can show in virtual reality the content of places that it's not possible for him to visit because he cannot walk properly, or maybe he's an old people. So you can check this content using spherical images from real world or maybe from virtual images. We also work with a group of 20 students developing the augmented reality application on Ampurias, and we created this app also for them. Well, that's all, so thank you very much.
Well, hello. Buenas tardes. Good evening. Is there anyone alive at this time? And then the second question is there anyone brain working? Because mine not. At this time I have so much information that I think I cannot keep on working and thinking. Today we have fantastic presentations here, and it has been a really interesting day. And mine compared to this in terms of technology is nothing. So if you're expecting amazing gadgets like this one, forget it. I am a process person. First to say thanks to the organization for inviting me. Thanks to Teresa and Ignacio that has been replying all my emails. And I'm going to say again, thanks to the translators, because I am a Spanish native speaker who sometimes translates BIM, and I am amused that they are doing this in real time. So thumbs up, because you're champions. So my name is Iria Carreira, and I don't have too much time, but resume, I am from Galicia, northwest Spain, but 9 years ago I decided to move to Denmark to study construction management. Denmark implemented BIM in 2013, so I am a native BIM user. I never used 2D. So basically, since I studied up to today, I have been using BIM. The first BIM project that I delivered, it was 5 years ago, and it was a really small project, and since then I have been working as BIM coordinator, and as I still being a BIM coordinator. I think sometimes people like other fancy terms like BIM Master of Universe or BIM Guru, BIM Champion. I think BIM Coordinator is enough, and it's good enough for young people. And nowadays what I do, so I am a BIM Coordinator for a company called Lend-Lease. Some of you might know it, some of you not. Lend-Lease is a company that it works as a project manager, developer, main contractor, and also asset management in some countries. The headquarters are in Sydney, but it has offices around the world, and I work in the UK, particularly in London. And apart from BIM, I also work a bit as an innovation champion, so it's not only about BIM, but how mega corporations like mine implement innovation with 12,000 different employees. But today I'm going to talk about something in particular. And when we talk about BIM, and in these last 5 years working in BIM, I hear a lot of terms. So I hear the term BIM data management. Lately, you hear softwares like Dynamo, asset management, FM, virtual reality, amazing technologies out there, but I'm going to be realistic here. And for me, BIM is about collaboration. And I do believe that if we don't get this simple term right, we are lost as an industry. I love construction industry, but we have a major problem collaborating and being transparent. I think we need to face reality, and I think we need to start the things right. And the things right is just first step, baby steps, as they say in English. First, let's get collaboration. So if you look at have anyone read PAS 1192 and the UK legislation? I have read that a couple of times, and if you go really in depth to it, what it's actually trying to tell you is use technology to collaborate. That's what it's saying. It's really simple. So if I look in depth to it, if you look at it, the first point is use 3D models in all the REBA stages. It's basically using 3D and knowing in every stage what you are doing. Use a common data environment that everyone can actually access to it, so everyone has access to that information on a sharing point. Use IFC, so everyone can actually open the file. And then put all those files together. I know that some people are really into computational modeling and doing amazing models out there. If that model is in your desktop or in your PC, it's not going to get any value. And actually, if that model is basically just on your PC, you might get it all wrong, and you will end up with this on site. It doesn't matter. I've seen and I see people doing amazing things with technology. This is our problem as industry. Our problem as an industry is to de-risk our projects, to be efficient and collaborate. I know that it sounds really, simple, but it's complicated to get there. Who works in construction and finds these type of things on site? Or maybe not just up to that point, but almost there. And this happens because two people don't talk, because two people don't collaborate. It's as simple as that. And now what I'm going to try to explain, and I don't have too much time, is how in the project that I work, we are trying to avoid this with BIM. So basically, in resume, I work in a project called International Quarter. It's an integrated project where my company, Lendlease, is developer, project manager, and main contractor. The architects are Rogers, the structural engineer are Arab. We also work with Rumble, Burhappel for infrastructure, and Horali for the MEP. So it's like the rock stars of UK industry in terms of building this. So as a client, we said, we are going to pick the good guys. And then they put me in this project to be something that I rename as the BIM police. I am the BIM police. So this is the project, and to give you a bit of a background, actually the two last buildings were designed by Allies and Morrisons. The other two ones that you see almost done are being on site at the moment, and the rest ones is yet to come. So we have BIM in all the phases possible simultaneously time. And we need to collaborate efficiently in every of those times. And you will wonder how you get that. And I'm going to tell you, you get it with the ERs and the contract. If as a client, you don't tell your guys what you want, they will not know what to deliver. If as a client, you want BIM, but you don't put it on the contract, tell me how you're going to claim something. And then it's basically the architects that after agreeing on a contract, after reading an EAS, they, as a lead designers, in our case, they will do a BIM execution plan as a response to the client demand. But before you do a BIM execution plan, and I really want to make emphasis on this, because everyone that talks about BIM management, they talk about BIM execution plans. No, you need to get things prior to that right, as a client or as a project manager, as a developer. And you do it through that documentation. Rob actually talked about it before. And I think it's really, really important. And basically, I'm going to be brief because, yeah, you need all this documentation to guarantee that the project works. But another thing that you need is, in my company, the implementation works top to bottom. So I am not the person who decided the goals for the project. It was the project director, head of BIM, head of development, and this comes from up, down. Otherwise, I work in other companies that the implementation tried to be bottom up, and in my experience, it didn't work. Actually, if you want to read more about implementations top down, bottom up in terms of innovation, I recommend to read a guy called Clayton Christensen, that he works with innovation and explains the handicaps of working with one or another. Another thing that I will make emphasis on is basically that you don't bring only BIM managers to meetings. You don't only bring BIM coordinators to these meetings. I want the partner architect to agree the contract with me. I don't want the guy, the BIM knows. I want everyone in the team that is going to be working on BIM knowing what they are going to do. And then you end up like something like this. This is what I do also a lot of BIM police. So as a client, I need to check that they are delivering what we agree on. And then we go through a process of basically, in terms of using technology for collaborating, we use a common data environment to share the files, as simple as that. We basically have, in that common data environment, it goes through a process of quality assurance. And then we have this part that is, for me, the key in collaboration. I am not going to name softwares. There is tons out there, and I bet that there is tons of BIM geeks here that know those softwares of collaboration. But what I will recommend is basically to meet every 2 weeks and share the files in work in progress file on a common data environment on a weekly basis. If you leave this sharing of data for the end of a stage, forget it. You haven't collaborated, and you end up in the site with the problem that we saw before. You need to share these files constantly. And then another thing, apart from using the architects, the engineers, the trades to deliver BIM projects, please get everyone involved on this. In my company, my planners, they know what BIM is, they know what 4D is, they know what a software like Synchro does. And we have bi-weekly meetings where we check our 4D models, because it's not BIM geeks doing the BIM work. It's a company implementing BIM. It's collaboration within your whole company. Same for cost planner. My cost planners might not know what is 5D or COXTES or how to create a parameter that it will extract the quantification. No, but they know that I can do it, and we work with that. So the implementation, again, goes top to bottom. Someone told them, hey, we have now an expert here that can help you with this tool to be better. And they come to me and ask me how. And we have meetings bi-weekly where the regular meetings, they will check 2D, or they will check just a Gantt chart, and now we check this kind of software. And then you end up with something like this. These are not BIM coordinators, these are not BIM managers. BIM, as my boss says, is 80% people, 20% technology. If you don't change minds, you will not get to this. And then you will have just someone like me doing something on a corner, and that it will not give you the return of investment that you want as a company. And I think I will run out of time, but I will live with this. I think it's as simple as this. Companies analyze the risk in innovation, but I will invite any corporation to analyze the risk in not innovating. And in 10 years, if the construction industry doesn't change, as Fred Miles said the other day, Amazon will come and will deliver houses faster, with more efficiency and cheaper than the construction industry does. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, is this finding me? Tim Broyd, you've probably seen me earlier. Yeah, I think I like that last comment, actually. The way I've heard it put before is, if you think innovation is risky, try the alternative. Here I am. you're down to the last two speakers. Hooray, keep going. We're half an hour late, then we're thrown out. So I've got, gosh, I'm tied down to 12 minutes. I really must rush. Tim Broyd, about 3 years ago, I changed from a career to date then in industry, and my last 20 years in that was as corporate innovation director in a couple of large global engineering design consultancies, to go to a University College in London, where I'm professor of two things. The honorary means I don't get paid for that one, but it's built environment foresight. I get paid for that. Civil engineering, I don't. I'm also the next president of the Institution of Civil Engineers. So very briefly, UCL, based in the middle of London. If you think it looks like those who know London, the National Gallery, well, it was designed by the same architect. He did UCL half a dozen years before the National Gallery, and therefore ripped us off when he sold the same design to the National Gallery. It was established in 1822 to break the Oxbridge stranglehold. So it's the first university in England which admitted students of any race, class or religion, the first to welcome women on an equal footing with men, the first to teach experimental science, we call that engineering these days, the first to teach modern European languages and laws, etc. Let's go back. For what it's worth, the slide on the right shows the old stuff at the bottom. At the back is UCL's very new UCL Hospital, which is one of the best teaching hospitals, so they tell me, in the world. The only thing I'll say about this is we've got a lot of people, we do a lot of stuff, and we're certainly in the world sort of 4 to 7, I would guess, at the moment in universities. Institution of Civil Engineers, the oldest engineering institution in the world, founded in 1818. I'm going to be president in its 199th year. Bother. First Royal Charter in 1828, come to that in a minute. Currently with over 86,000 members in over 150 countries, and 25% of our members are outside the UK. So we have three main responsibilities. One is we are the qualifying body for chartered civil engineers in the United Kingdom. The second one is we're a centre of excellence and knowledge for civil engineering. And the third, we are by charter, as a charity, we look to take the message of civil engineering to society and increasingly influence governments both in the UK and overseas. That is our initial Royal Charter. It hangs in the President's office. Anyone who thinks they know things about Royal Charters in the UK and wonders why the seal at the bottom is green and not red, see me afterwards. That's the building we're in. It has some nice lecture theatres, some good meeting rooms, and a great, it's a great hall, actually. It won the accolade last year, or an accolade as being the best small conference venue in the world. It's available for weddings, bar mitzvahs, whatever, see me later. We've heard enough, I think, about the BIM task group today from the UK, which essentially says by not very long now at all central government funded projects should be undertaken within a BIM level 2 environment, and by October, this is an addendum to that, we ought to have some information about some quality of information, etc. The BIM Action Group was set up without arrogance, really by my instigation, to find a way for the ICE to take the message to civil engineers. At the time, in 2011, 2012, there was a lot of feeling and bad feeling in the ICE amongst civil engineers that BIM was about building, it's therefore not for us. When we got that message going through, they then started saying, we therefore need a BRIM, a Bridge Information Modelling System. We need a HIM, a Highways Information Modelling System. We need a RIM for railways, and we need whatever for water. We're through that now, but we're there really to help the government develop its strategy and to take the message out to engineers. Just one of the things we do is hold a one-day annual conference. We've had 5 of them now. About 3 years ago, we had to move out of the IC building because it just wasn't big enough. and we're now into increasingly large hotel spaces, which is both good and bad. It has a vision which you can read there, but I'll read it out to help for the translation, to develop and support the world's best digitally enabled civil engineers. So that's, you know, not a small target, not a small aim. Just a flavour of some of the things we're doing. We've had an annual, what we call a heat map. This is an awareness and activity map in BIM over the last few years, well, 3 years. If you can just look on the right and just note that there's sort of hopefully more red at the top than there is at the bottom. I'll explain that on the next slide. Effectively, what you have at the bottom here is a whole set of different sectors of civil engineering, and along the top, a whole set of types of activity and attribute, etc. And what we're mapping through questionnaires is the degree of awareness and understanding and implementation in these various areas. So the key on the top right says dark green is good. People are strongly agreeing with premises such as I know what this is, I do it well, etc. Red is pretty bad. I totally disagree with those sorts of statements, etc. But we're, you know, by doing these sorts of things, we're increasingly able to understand where the knowledge gaps are, and we can then start to do things to fill them. We have a number of knowledge outputs, case studies, webinars, books, journals. In fact, next Wednesday, I'm chairing a webinar for an hour or two over lunchtime on file synchronization. We have a number of speakers. The blue web links there show that they all refer back to the ICE website. I think that's at the end. So they're all mainly there. They're freely available. And so just a couple of examples. Case studies, modelling Canary Wharf Station. That's on the new London Crossrail system. More of that in just a few minutes. But we also have other things. So there's one that I found on lean construction management in Spain, where we take anything really. We have a number of books. One of the things that the ICE is a trainer and a book publisher. So here's a book on BIM in principle and practice. Knowledge outputs in journals. What we haven't done is to develop a new stream of work in the IC specifically for BIM. We think that would be very silo-ish. So what we're doing is we're streaming BIM through the other existing ways of working, which we hope will make BIM more generally taken on board, rather than to tie it specifically to what might be a very small group of people. So, journal papers, legal risks incurred, application of BIM in Taiwan, but also building information modelling, moving Crossrail forward. Moving on as quickly as I can. A new stream developing on BIM and asset management. For buildings, we call it facilities management. For infrastructure, we call it asset management. One of my own personal ambitions over the next year or two is to merge the two of them. They both answer the same business need. So to see if we can get a merging of those in the same way that we're getting a merging of infrastructure and buildings using BIM for procurement and capital cost. We're doing this. This is a schematic from the Institute of Asset Management. We're looking then to use existing techniques and tools and ways of working and just grafting BIM onto that, at least in the first instance. So we're not asking people to change all of their thinking and the way they do their work simultaneously. On training, we're developing and have developed a couple of fairly short IC BIM for infrastructure and BIM implementation, putting people first, with a certificate, with people like bits of paper, available either to people generally or specific to companies. That's the BIM for infrastructure, that's the putting people first. And within a couple of months, we'll have these out on the website as distance learning modules as well, so people don't have to travel very far at all. We've heard a couple of times today about BIM maturity models. Well, this is, as it says here, to help measure an understanding and maturity of level 2. This is now up and running and available through the ICE website as an Excel download, etc. I'm not going to show that. That's a video over 3 minutes, and I've only got 1.5 left. Suffice it to say that the next ICE BIM conference will be on the 20th of October. Book your ticket now because they tend to go very quickly. And over our next 3 years, well, it's more of the same. I won't go through these bullet points. But actually, you know, as president coming in November, I'm really wanting to extend. I'm going to take one of my major themes as digital engineering. And this more of the same isn't going to produce the jumps we need. So I'll be working with a few people over the next few months to see what more exciting things we can do. I'm going to end over the last, I've got 4 slides left, 2 slides in each of 2 things. It's not always, as we know, it's not always the big boys in software who come up with the exciting ideas. Now, UCL has chosen not to have a business school. It does its stuff through its faculties. So here are just a couple of examples of very recent spin-off companies that have come out of UCL. One on 3D Repo, version-controlled 3D repository, which is winning, as you can see there, a number of prizes for its initial activity. And the other one, Basestone, tablet and web-based collaboration tool, which is connecting people and drawings, particularly in the very important aspect of drawing reviews, in ways that some of the bigger software outfits don't seem to be managing to. And that, again, has been taken up, a big reference sale, wide-scale use on Crossrail, and also, if you know about things like Techstars, which I'm told is the world's largest non-Silicon Valley accelerator for startups, it's winning a lot of stuff and a lot of plaudits through them. Thank you very much. I did say the ICE website's ice.org.uk. My time is up.
Okay, good news, it's the last one. Is this on? Okay, thanks. Thanking everyone, and I think the summit has been wonderful. Congratulations. My name is Helene Queiró. I work for SOMAG. I'm the Director of Organization and Processes. I have been there for the last 15 years. SOMAG is a Portuguese company that belongs to SACIR. We are contractors. We do big projects, normally in dams, roads, bridges, football stadiums. And this is the aim of the workshop. So when I started to get involved with this BIM thing, and I have to confess it's a recent involvement, it always struck me very strange that everyone talking about these teams seem to forget about everything else. I mean, processes in a construction company are complex, and it's a lot of things. You have to manage a lot of resources. You have ERPs that you have to account. So it was strange that people talking about this, I mean, no one seemed to remember that you have other stuff to worry about. And the message here is pretty much that. I mean, you cannot forget that companies and big companies like mine already have processes and applications that work and that will keep working probably. I mean, you can start all over again, but probably you don't want to do that. So this is the main message, that you need to think about what you have already in your company, and that this is fantastic tools. I mean, everyone knows the advantages of BIM. We've been talking about this all day, and there's no question about that. But you cannot forget that you have other things working, and some stuff is pretty boring, but you have to do it. I mean, it's administrative stuff, it's accounting stuff, but you have to do it. You have to pay your suppliers invoices. You have to bill your clients. You have accounting to do. And a company needs processes that ideally are integrated, and the big challenge for us is how to accommodate this new philosophy and this BIM philosophy, to accommodate this BIM philosophy with what you have already. Are 4D and 5D new concepts? I don't think so. I mean, we've been doing that for ages. Everyone who works in a contractor companies knows that they need to control their schedule, they need to control their costs. We do it in the normal way with projects, and cost relating, we have an application that is called Sligo, where we control all the resources in our construction site, all the costs and the budget control. So this is not new. We've been doing this for a long time, and we'll keep doing this for the future. I think I can show that detail of that thing there, but that's the monthly report that Sligo generates, that has 7 pages with a lot of information that what goes on in the construction site in that particular project. And it's 7 pages with a lot of information, you know, about work progress, about the costs, the budget control, the relation with your client, the financial status, the advance of the works. It's a lot of things. It's not only, you know, modeling and taking what we've been talking about. There's a lot of stuff. And some is pretty boring, but you have to do it. You know, you have this kind of maps and kind of reports. This is just to show how much information you can get from these things. And this needs to be done. In SOMAG, we are organized in processes. So it's the basis of our functioning. I'm a suspect because I'm a process people. So I'm a process guy, and that's what I do. But it's true that it's pretty much the way the company is organized. You have, you know, I won't go through the detail of this, but you have the normal process of a construction company. And these processes are detailed in procedures that specify what you have to do. And in each step, what are your inputs, and then what are your outputs. And for us, this challenge of BIM as a construction company is to go through these processes, and in each one of them, try to analyze and try to define the new ways of working. I mean, for instance, in the tendering process, is your people that do tendering ready to receive a 3D model from the client and work on it? Probably not. They need to be trained. There's new tools to work on. In the procurement process, how are you going to, you're in a construction site, how are you going to ask for stuff to the headquarters? Does the person in the headquarters has access to a model, is going to check on the model? It changes a lot, and it changes all the processes, not only the technical ones. We hear all about the technical processes. But there's an administrative process that also change a lot, and that's our concern, and our view is that you have to go through these processes one by one and see what's the differences that you need to implement in order to follow the new tools and the new philosophy of BIM. Processes are supported in applications. This is our systems architecture. We have the 3 levels. I mean, we have corporate management. We have a tool called Sophia that is a business intelligence tool. Then you have the corporate processes. We have SAP for accounting, legal, and HR. We have another application that we did ourselves. And then in the business processes, we have Sligo, which is pretty much the big thing in the construction site. We have it BIM. I mean, it's on quotes because it's not really an application, but it stays there on the lower level of business processes. There's an application missing here, which is risk management, that you have to do also, that we have it also. Okay? Going through a little bit through this architecture, Sligo is an application that we developed for 20 years now. And it's been running for 20 years, so it must be nice, because otherwise it will be out now. And it's still going on, and it's still evolving, and I think in a very, very nice way. I'm showing now the modules of the application just to show that you have a lot of things to worry about in a construction site. You have the workmanship, you have equipment, you have materials, subcontractors. For instance, everything that we do in this application in the construction site, it's sent to the central systems when you need it. When you're typing in the construction site, and when you're typing in hours and timesheets of people, that information is used for our ERP to do the payroll. Every module that every cost that comes into the construction site is registered in Sligo. This information is sent to SAP. There's no one in the headquarters typing costs relating the construction sites. What they're doing in the headquarters is receiving the invoices and matching the information that comes from the construction site. Okay. And we also have I would say that the first modules are sort of administrative modules, and then we have a module that it's budget and control. And I think it's relevant to talk about this because we cannot disconnect the budget from the actual costs. And it's for us very relevant to have the budget control in a tool like this, because budget control is comparing expected costs in a budget with actual costs that are incurring. And you need the same application to do that. Sometimes I hear people saying, well, in the model you can do budgeting. I know you can do, but what about the rest? I mean, if you put the budget outside of this tool, how are you going to compare with the actual costs? These are, processes. I'll skip this. This is just to see the detail of the process in the sites. This is just an image to see how many transactions we have just in the material module, how many transactions you have. You have a lot of things to deal with. And that's what it seems that people forget about this. And you cannot forget. I mean, to manage just the material part, you have to manage warehouse, you have a lot of things to do, and the applications must be very robust and very, very well done to support all these processes. It's not just like, putting in some information. There's a lot of detail. You have to return things to your supplier. That has an accounting, it's going to happen something in the accounting stuff. So it's complex systems and very complex processes and complex systems that you cannot forget that exists. This is pretty much the way Sligo works. I mean, you define your budget, then you define what we call management units. It's a cost structure. And then, you have the monthly sort of cycle. You have, when you are doing your resource consumption, you are costing your project. So what you do, the administrative people during the months are typing in all the resource consumption that are happening in your site, and making resource consumption for us is costing our project. Then, normally at the end of the month, you're going to type in the production you did. You're going to say to Sligo how much of each activity you have produced. And that gives you the ability to generate the expected costs. And then budget control is sort of comparing the expected costs that are generated by the budget with the actual cost that you have registered on Sligo. But the thing is that what you're doing in a construction site, and we do this everywhere. I mean, my company has activity in Angola, Mozambique, Brazil, Portugal, Ireland, Cape Verde, and everyone uses the same systems and the same processes. So this is valid for everywhere where this thing works. And it's not easy not to do this. Okay, and you have to keep doing this. This is sort of like the Sligo, the way it works. I mean, you have the budget, you have the management units. During the months, what are you doing? You are costing those management units. You are typing in not the cost, but the resource consumption. So you're saying that this person did 5 hours in that activity, and that you went to the warehouse and you took 3 bags of cement and put it there. that's what you're doing. And automatically the thing is costing every activity. And then you can, at the end of the month, if you feed in the budget the quantities that you have produced, you can generate the expected costs. And if you relate the two of them, you have budget control. That's why we say that, for instance, the budget must be here in Sligo. It can't be in the model. I know that the model can, I know that you can cost and you can make a quantity takeoff and do budgeting in a model, in a 3D model. But for us, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why? Because we want to do budget control. And to do budget control, you have to have the actual costs. Plus, everything here, you need to do it because it's not only, supporting the works in the site, but it's also feeding your central systems. So it's not easy to change. I mean, you have to keep using these things, and actually we love these things on our own, and we'll keep using them. But it sort of strikes me as strange as that everyone seems to forget about this, and you have to keep doing this kind of things. We have other applications, and the philosophy is the same. So for us, the challenge is to integrate these new tools with the tools that we have. And I think it's probably the same challenge for every company, because you cannot just think, now we have a new thing, and this is the next big thing, and you cannot forget the rest. So for us, the challenge is that you have to use the things you like. Of course, it's a nice opportunity to do new stuff if you want to. But you have to use it, and you have to integrate the systems you have with these new tools and this new philosophy of BIM. BSmart is a document management tool that we have. It makes the usual thing. You scan, you have workflows, then you file it, and you have permissions to consult any paper that you have there. And this is a real case of integration that we did in a construction site in Portugal, in Lisbon. If you have this example is related with how do you call it, the clarification that you need to have with your client, for instance, or the architect. You have some doubts, and you're going to write a memo. You're going to write a Word file, and you send in a PDF file. Where are you going to keep that PDF file or that Word file? For us, you're going to keep it in our documentation application, of course. It's there, and it works, and that's the way to do it. If you have a file, you want to file it, where are you going to do it? In BSmart. So what we did, and we keep doing it, is to relate the information. I mean, this type of form code, the complete history tracking, the normal advantages of a management tool. But then what we did was to relate things. So you have, in this example, you have a clarification form that you send to your architect or to your owner, and what you keep it in your BSmart application management, document management information application, and then you're going to reference this with a link in your model. So what you have in our model, it's the code of that document that you send to your client, because it doesn't make sense for us to keep that document, that Word document, anywhere else than outside our document management tool. Okay? And this is pretty much what I come to say, is that you cannot forget the rest, and what you need to do is to look at your processes and integrate them, and put everything talking to all the systems talking. I mean, this is now in Revit. We use Revit, and you have the references of the document you sent. Risk management is another tool that we use. It's another complicated process. I mean, it's really complicated. We did this on our own. We know how complicated this is. This is complex. We developed this application. We did our functional design. We're talking to everyone, and then we developed. And it's quite complicated. I mean, I'm not saying that it's much. Can you do this in a 3D model, in a 3D tool? You can't. You can't. It's quite complicated to do. So you should do what you need to do in the right tool, and then you need to connect everything. This is some images of our risk management application. I mean, there's workflows. There are a ton of people involved. You choose people you want to send. People type in what they think about. It has some metrics. There's a lot of things. And you cannot, just skip this. So what should you do? You should reference stuff. You should reference in your model that you have this risk, and you should connect the data structures that you need. Okay? And this is our vision of what you need to do. So just, wrapping up. If you take your processes and take your applications, you'll get what we call our BIM. So for us, BIM, it's all this. It's not like it's a big ball with the BIM in and nothing else. I mean, you have to interrelationate all the information, and that's what we're doing, and that's our vision of stuff. And I think it works very well. The advantages are absolutely fantastic, but you need to do other stuff, administrative stuff, accounting stuff, HR stuff, and you cannot forget about that. So for us, the approach is really to go through the processes that we have, to define in each process what's going to change. We're going to see that you need to train people, you need new tools, you need a lot of stuff. Some processes more than others, of course. Some processes are not so much affected as some, but a few processes that will be very, very affected. But the rest of the things keep existing. So if you want to keep them, you have to put them to talk to. And for us, it's like rule number 1 is that if you just typed information once, if you typed information in Sligo in the construction site, you're not going to type it anywhere else. If you have your budget in Sligo, you're not going to have it in your model, because if you have the same information twice, you're doomed. It doesn't work. This is the data that we want to keep in each of the applications. We have the project budget, project resources, resource consumption, costs, work progress, and budget control on Sligo. You have in SAP, you have accounts payable, receivable, financial, legal, HR. And then in 3D model, you have the construction elements, and you have the parametric elements, and you have the parametric information, you have a lot of stuff. In BSmart, you'll keep your non-graphical information in your documents. And then the big challenge is the little dot things. Some work, I mean, Sligo and SAP, they talk already. So the challenge is to sort of define each process, the changes in each process, and then doing those dotted lines, those dotted lines, and connecting data structures, which is not easy. I mean, you can think that it's, you just connect, for instance, with the 4D, to connect a planning structure with times on each activity to a budget. It seems easy, but it's not, because they are different. Data, the level of detail is different. So it's easier said than done. But we've been doing this for a long time. And our information systems architecture is very integrated. Consultants don't like it because there's a lot of stuff going on, and they don't like to see a lot of different applications. We like it, we live well with it, because we know that we are doing the right thing, just keeping the information very, very, very correct and very, very integrated. Okay? And I'll just finish up with the main challenges in this sort of trip. I've seen this 3 things several times this morning: processes, people, and systems. The challenge is here, we've been talking about this also this morning, it's a strategic move, and you need to understand that, and you need to have your process redesigned. It's a lot of trouble, a lot of work to do that. You need a lot of commitment from process leaders. You have new stuff to deal with, taxonomy, normalization of data. In the people, there's a cultural change. Normally, people is the hardest part. It's like, in this triangle, normally it's in the people that you have a lot of problems. It's not in the processes or in the applications. It's in the people and in the organization, and how mature is the organization and how is it working that you have problems. You can have very nice applications. It's sort of easy. You can have very nice process. It's sort of easy. But if you don't have the people to implement them and to use them correctly, then it's doomed. And normally where you have problems, and we've been implementing this architecture everywhere we go, to Brazil and all, there's no Brazilian people here, but for instance in Brazil, all the problems we had were in the people part, not in the rest of it. So this is normally where you get, and it's the most difficult part to change and the most difficult part to control. The other ones you control well. I think if you do a good job, you can control well, you can design nice processes and you can design nice applications. the organization and the people you don't control so well. So it's quite tough here. And then, for instance, of course, I'm saying it's easy, but it's a lot of work. In the application part, redesigning the applications, all the new standards that you have, technical infrastructure, being on the cloud, all this, it's hard to do. Yes, it is, but if it's well done, it works well, and it's controllable. Okay, and I don't have the time. I don't know if I'm going too fast or too slow. I think it's done, and thank you everyone.